Ann from Afrotaku.
And I'm Teresa, and
we are reviewing Dr. Stone, Season 1. Cue intro. I'm a sucker for storytelling, mostly. And the moment I got to hear of Dr. Stone, I was like, what is this? And the first episode was like, okay, high schoolers. Okay, it's clear who the main character is, with green hair, red eyes. Okay, what's next? And then boom, there's a green light. And then all of a sudden, everyone turns to stone. And the pace was so fast. I just wondered what's going on. Dr. Stone is, let's just say, it's a survivalist anime. Someone could say that it's in the isekai genre of anime. It's the kind of genre where the characters are taken from one reality to another. But no, it actually isn't. It reminded me of a video game where you are a caveman. You are supposed to hunt for resources, hunt for wood, hunt for stone, build civilization from the ground up, and that's where we began. So the main character is
Senku.
Senku. He just takes charge and he does whatever he can to revive civilization. But the main issue is that he comes across some challenges. His main foe is what? Tsukasa. We start off Dr. Stone with three main characters. There's Senku, there's Taiju, and there's Yuzuriha. Senku, Taiju, and Yuzuriha, they are three very different personalities. Senku is the brains, smart. You think he's cocky, but he's actually really a softie. And then Taiju is just the brawn, very simple-minded. And Yuzuriha is, well, love interest, so normal. And after they were all petrified, they actually stayed alive 3,000 years after. What kept Senku alive was his mind. The moment he was petrified, he just kept counting the seconds, counting, up to like 3,700 years later. And what kept Taiju alive was the fact that right before he was petrified, he was about to propose love to Yuzuriha. So he was supposed to say, I love you. It took him like 5 years to say, I love you, but I guess bad luck. So he kept that in his heart till 3,000 years later. And for some dumb stroke of luck, mixed with that crap, Senku was revived and his stone just cracked up and he, sort of broke free from the stone casing. And he went to find his friend Taiju, the simple-minded one. And that's where the story takes course. You accelerate the whole plot. He goes on. You find he starts to invent stuff. Starts to make alcohol. I don't know why. He makes battery. He makes Coca-Cola. He makes. Let's just say he ends up making so many things that it just marvels everyone he comes across, even his enemies, up until the end. So let's rate Dr. Stone. Number 1, plot. As I said before, I'm a sucker for storytelling, and let's just say that although things were very, very weird in the beginning, it really hooked me. Some people may be dissatisfied and say that, oh, it's too much talking. It's too many scientific stuff. But I don't think so. It's actually really educative. And the fact that he's the only smart ass in this whole series, it's a huge contrast with the other characters. And they end up let's just say we can relate to the other characters.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like, oh, let's just make gunpowder. He would say a whole lot of stuff, seashells mixed with stuff, and they'd be like, Nani, and then he'd be like, okay, let's do this and this and this, and I'll be like, oh, so that's how you make gunpowder. But don't try this at home. You're not supposed to make gunpowder at home. You'll get arrested. That's the plot. The plot is very educative. It's very insightful, and although there are lots of questions, you get knocked with something else later on in the story. You think that this is the main conflict. You think that the main conflict will be his battle with Tsukasa, but then that's not the case. Tsukasa wants to establish a utopia. He wants to make sure that he only revives the young people and start a world without technology, because he believes technology is bad and technology is the source of all evil. Just because in his past 3,000 years ago, he was mistreated by some rich men or something. But Senku believes in technology. He's an idealist and he doesn't care what kind of evil stuff comes out of technology. So that's the plot.
Okay, I think that the plot was really good. When it started, I was hooked at when that green light shone and then everybody turned to stone. I think that was a very, very nice idea, because it keeps you wondering, like, in the first place, who released that light? Are they alive? How did they survive turning into stone? What really was the point? But then the writer does it so well that you forget, along the line, when you're going down the season, you forget that, or at least I did. I forgot about that. I forgot that was the central thing. That's what they are trying to solve. Because he brings up Tsukasa. And then he'll just divert your attention towards that. So I really think that the plot was good. It's a very, very, very good and solid plot. If I would rate the plot, I would probably give it a 10 or a 9.
I would give the plot 8 out of 10. 1 point for the repetitiveness, and the second point for the disappointing finale. That's all. But overall, it was very good, very educative. I'm a sucker for book stuff, so that's fine. Next.
Okay, so the characters, right? In the first place, one thing I liked about the Dr. Stone characters is how the design, how he uses the cracks as they are kind of like art. When you look at Asagiri Gen's own and Tsukasa's own, it adds to his beauty, and the development of the characters as well. I think the characters that Senku met in the Ishigami village, I think they developed way more than Tsukasa and Hyoga. I think it was because they didn't get much screen time, but I also think that the character development was good. Probably a 7 over 10 for me.
Regards to the character development, the characters overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10 because each character had a role to play, and let's just say that one character, you would expect them to be a certain trope, maybe a love interest, maybe some old boring man. Remember when the old man just ripped his clothes off? Do you notice that in that scene, the girl actually was some girl behind checking him out?
Yeah.
Yes. And
I think it happens every time he does that. There's always someone ogling him anytime he... Right.
Okay. Fine. The characters are well-rounded and they each serve a purpose. I can't say there's a minor character. Even characters like Magma, of all people, he ended up playing a key role later on in the series. And what I like about it is that although Senku is the main character, he's not really, you see in most anime like this, he's too perfect, he's so smart that everyone should just worship him. But in this case, Senku is a leader, he's a leader, he's innovative, but at the same time, he's not selfish at all. Although he aims to, create stuff, he does it for other people. So he makes something for himself, but then you realize that he actually intends to help someone else, like the drug that he made for to cure her pneumonia. Yes. 9 out of 10. Animation and art style. Okay.
I think that's your field alone.
Well, I love the art style. Let's just say, okay, I have a little problem with how simple it looks sometimes, but I realize that when it gets to a very intense moment, very sad moment, very action-packed moment, like the art style gets really, really good, very, very detailed. It's a sakuga technique. It's what animators use when they want to create a contrast and they want to emphasize something really intense. So I was like, okay, this looks very crappy. His hair looks very blurry in this scene. But then there's this eureka moment, and then it's very savage. His scars become rigid, and his face, especially the perverted faces they make sometimes. And let's just say that the art style is awesome. And I also realized that the color palette is very rich. Unlike some other post-apocalyptic animation and movies and series where everything is dark or there's some gritty stuff going on, the color palette is very, very bright. There's lots of green stuff. You can contrast it with the beginning, like the first episode when it's a city, blue and cars everywhere, buildings everywhere. And the moment humanity is just wiped out, 3,000 years later, nature flourishes. And it creates a very nice, soothing atmosphere, and it's very nice to watch. That's the art style. So I would give it a 9 out of 10. I would have given it a 10 out of 10 if it didn't get crappy at some moments. But I like art style.
The music from
Okay.
Right? So right before they start the episode, there's this place where they write the episode name and then I think the episode number. And there's this Scottish and it's like Scottish, some bagpipes playing. That slight intro to me is so awesome. And the opening theme to the first one, Ohio, second guy, good morning, that was awesome too. I didn't really like the second opening. And then there's also this original soundtrack that plays in when they are using to hype moments. Like, I think the first time we played, Tsukasa was asking Senku to join him with like the idea that he had. Yeah. And then another time we played was when he first created electricity. Like, it gets you so hyped over simple things like electricity. It's like an everyday thing, but then the way they hype it, as if some badass fight just went down. Yeah. So I really think the Dr. Stone music, like the music score, is really good. Just because I don't like the second opening, I'll give it a 9 over 10. But the Dr. Stone music score is really good for me.
Dr. Stone music score, it's not something I haven't heard. Fine, I like the Ohio part, fine. And I like the ending soundtracks too. But what really, I'm conflicted about that one song, One Small Step. The song that is like the character, Lillian sings that song to inspire them. Like, the song is nice, but it's like, she doesn't, like, it's supposed to be a character singing this song. But why does she sound like Beyonce when she's singing and she sounds like Pikachu when she's talking? That kind of thing. So it's a huge contrast, but I like the soundtrack. It is not epic. It's not like Parasites. I love the Parasite soundtrack. It's not like Parasites. It's not like others I've heard, but I like it. I'll give it a 7. Sorry. final episode, the
Yes,
finale.
yes.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched it. Shame on you if you haven't watched the final episode. Okay. Final episode was kind of disappointing because you would think that Tsukasa, there's this big empire he's building, and Senku is also trying to build his own scientific empire, and you think there would be a big clash. There's nothing. They end up building the speaker, microphone.
The receiver to the other side of the microphone, the receiver.
It's as repetitive as hell because it makes you feel like you wasted your time. But at the same time, okay, I understand the story hasn't ended, and okay, there's season 2 coming up next.
Yeah. Well.
So I would give. I don't know. The finale was a big disappointment, and I was really pissed. That is all.
Yeah, I agree with her because I think the 23rd episode they really rushed through. Usually they show it step by step, but they really rushed through all the things they were doing to get to the last one. So I was hyped. Yeah, we are going to see Tsukasa and Senku fight like the passion, and then the episode comes out, and then like they've built the speaker house or the telephone already, and then they are now telling us that wait, we forgot the other half, so we are going to spend the rest of the episode building the other half of the microphone. So it was kind of like a letdown, like she said. I was really expecting that big fight, but it is a cliffhanger, so we are really willing to watch the season 2. So I do get why the writers will do that, to keep you. Yeah.
But there was one thing that saved that episode. The second half of the episode, there was this whole sentimental moment with the record player.
Yeah.
Where they found out that Senku's dad, 3,000 years ago, he happened to survive the whole thing. He was in space. Lucky him. He was an astronaut in space when the whole thing happened, and then he came down after the whole apocalypse thing, and he and the fellow astronauts, they all built their own civilization. So that's where we find out that in episode 16, we find out that they are the first generation after the whole apocalypse. They are the ancestors of the civilization that Senku comes to meet and teaches. So the sentimental stuff that happens in the final episode, Senku's father left a record for him, like a recording of his last message, and that's where the whole One Small Step song came in. She was singing like Beyonce. No, Celine Dion. Okay. Yeah, but it was really sweet. I nearly cried. But it was okay. So, yeah. What next? This is season 1, we don't know, and there are a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet. Where did that green light come from? Why wasn't that addressed? Why did they make us forget the whole green light in the first place? Who did it? And why didn't they show up after they achieved their goal? And okay, let's see what happens next.
But I have this like a theory, right? It may be wrong, but because I revived Hyoga, right? And then told him that this was his plan, that there is a guy who is bent on reviving the whole of mankind, and he doesn't want that because, well, they will start doing, this is my land, pay me this. He doesn't want that. He wants to be the leader. Funny. He's trying to be that person that he doesn't want to revive. But anyway, I'm sidetracking. So when he tells Hyoga his plan, and Hyoga immediately agrees, right? I feel like Hyoga is just patiently waiting for Tsukasa to do all the hard work, like get rid of Senku, and then we'll probably overthrow Tsukasa, because I don't see Hyoga to be like a beta. He seems to be the alpha guy. So I don't see why he readily agreed to be Tsukasa's number 2. So I think that Hyoga is just waiting patiently to overthrow Tsukasa. That's my theory. And
Well, I really think you should watch Doctor Stone because, well, it's a good anime. Honestly speaking, there have been many kinds of anime that have this whole intellectual aspect to it, but Doctor Stone is unique in the sense that you can really learn a lot from it. Not just that, but you can see the essence of human civilization, and the whole tone of it is very hopeful. In another anime, it can be something very depressing. It can get really depressing. But you see this like, let's go on, let's build this, let's take this, let's do this, and it's really cool. So it's something you can watch on a rainy day. And if you've seen it already, I'd recommend Steins Gate. I'd recommend Death Note.
Full Metal Alchemist as well, if you like Doctor Stone. And
because both of them, their main characters are smart asses. So.
yeah.
Anyway, while you're here, please subscribe. Make sure you like. Wait, is it here? Okay. Make sure you like the video. Like it before you go. Subscribe and please share. Thanks for watching.